Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Chris Hebb from the BCHL, brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Call 250-248-8333 now to book your reservation. Mention Donnie and Dolly for 10% off your nightly room rate. Also, be sure to grab some Donnie and Dolly merch now on sale at the Bayside. BCHL Board of Governors has voted to not renew the league's agreement with Hockey Canada. BCHL will operate outside of Hockey Canada starting June 1st. BCHL also has playoffs going on right now. Joining us now, BCHL CEO. He used to be the commissioner.
Yep.
Now the CEO, Chris Hebb. Chris, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Donnie. Dolly?
Hello. How does this move make sense for your group, Chris?
Well, it's been a long time coming, guys. This is not a knee-jerk reaction, but the BCHL has evolved in a way that in some cases has been had barriers created by what we think are outdated regulations. So we spent time within the system trying to create change. The CJHL obviously wasn't willing to ask the questions we were asking, and so we had to ask them on our own. And eventually it just got to the point where we weren't getting any responses. And so the board, in its wisdom, has decided to leave the system.
Chris, a lot of positives, but I also have had a lot of people reach out to me, Chris, and one of the biggest concerns is the BC-born players, okay? So you're allowed to on each team, but now you can go outside of British Columbia and Canada, and you can go to Europe and the States and get those young kids. Are you worried about BC players and their spots on teams in the BC League?
No, Rick, that was really important to us. We are the BCHL, and so we've left the minimum for BC players on every team at 5, and that will not change.
Okay, but what the 16, 17-year-olds, though, Chris, those are the the ones that come into your league and get those NCAA scholarships, because right now you're the number one league anywhere for NCAA scholarships.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're really proud of, Rick. I mean, 25% of NCAA Division I rosters right now have come through the BCHL. And we just want to do more of that, but we want to be able to do it for every Canadian kid. And right now, unless you live in BC, you have to wait till you're 18 to play in our league, which to us doesn't make any sense. Right. Unless your parents are willing to move to BC.
That's it.
Yeah, it just never has made any sense. It's something that we've asked about. It's something that we've lobbied against, and now the pathway is open for good 16 and 17-year-olds who want to go to college and want to have scouts in the rink every night to come to the BCHL from out of province.
How are you going to get around the affiliation with Major Midget, Junior B? Obviously all the academies. How are you going to get around that?
Well, we would obviously hope that Hockey Canada would not punish these kids and not let them affiliate, but that could happen, and they could see us as a rogue league. I don't know how a 61-year-old league that's done what we've done would be considered rogue, but they may consider us rogue. So what we will do is we will expand our rosters and carry more players to make sure that we're never caught in a situation where an injury puts us, in jeopardy of not having enough players. So we hope that what happens is that Hockey Canada and BC Hockey work with us. We'd like to work with them. Guys, all we're doing is leaving an association. It's not the end of the world. And at the end of the day, this league will be operated in every way, the way it's been operated under Hockey Canada, in some situations even better. So we hope we can all work together.
Not eligible anymore for the national championship, Chris? Is that right?
Yeah, but we already had that, Don, because we left the CJHL 3 years ago, and Hockey Canada's response was to not invite us to the national championship, which we never understood, and BC Hockey never understood. But there's lots going on in Hockey Canada that, for all intents and purposes, doesn't make sense to us. Probably makes sense to others in the organization, but we just don't think it's creating the kind of development opportunities for college that it should in Canada.
It sounds, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's some hard feelings from the Hockey Canada side.
I honestly don't know, Don, because we can't get a response from anybody. If somebody would sit down with us and say, "Yeah, here's the situation. Here's what we would like to do," and we hear you, but we don't have any crosstalk whatsoever with Hockey Canada.
The caliber of play in the BCHL has been strong for a long, long time. Just maybe to sum up, do you expect the talent level and all of that to improve with this move?
That's our intention. I mean, right now we have almost half of our players get college commitments every year, which is ridiculous. I don't know why we aren't the model across the country for the way you handle college tracking hockey. But it feels to us like we're going to be a better league because the player pool has been expanded now. We can get a couple of international kids to come. We can get out of province kids to come and play in an environment where they're going to learn fast and develop better and go to college.
Okay, before I let you go, Chris, 4 teams left in the playoffs. Penticton has lost 4 games total all year. Can anybody knock them off?
Well, they're going to be tough, obviously, and they just got better over the course of the year. But we've got teams alive in these playoffs that are going to see what they can do to knock off the Kings. And look what just happened to the Bruins. I mean, it in the playoffs, a goalie gets hot, somebody loses some confidence, and that can happen. We're proud of what Penticton's doing. We want everybody to do what Penticton's doing, is to elevate the standard to what amounts to a clear rival to Major Junior in terms of the standard on the ice. But I think they're going to be tough to beat. There's no question about it. They had 14 kids come back from a championship team, which never happens in our league. Yeah. We always have turnover, but that's what happened for Penticton this year, and it'll be somebody else's turn. You watch.
Chris, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay, guys.
You bet. Chris Hebb, CEO of the BCHL. Penticton is up 2-0 on Salmon Arm. Yep. The other series, Alberni Valley, up 2-0 on Chilliwack. Both those series resume tonight. So he mentioned there's still that restriction. You have to have minimum of 5 BC born and bred players on your BCHL roster.
Yeah, you do. And look, Donnie, that's the biggest key for me is the BC kids. It's the BC League. Take care of your BC kids first. Always. It's the British Columbia Hockey League. So make sure you take care of your kids. I understand they're doing all this. There's positives to it, but there's some negatives to it. They got a refereeing issue they got to figure out. And I'm going to tell you something else, Donnie, right now. The USHL is a big, is causing problems too, because that league right now, look at this, Donnie. Macklin Celebrini, Owen Power, and Adam Fantelli have played for the Chicago Steel in the past few years. These are top overall picks in the NHL draft.
Canadian kids.
Yeah. And you can talk about Celebrini. Why didn't he play in the BC Hockey League as a 16-year-old? Why is he in Chicago? Because I'll tell you why. Chicago's Steel, they got a damn good reputation among agents and among a lot of hockey people. So there's competition out there, Donnie, and sometimes you got to do things to compete. Absolutely. And they think this is the best way to go. Just make sure you take care of your BC kids first.